Developers Ready at Dawn and SCE Santa Monica Studios proudly bring us the Order 1886. Sony has chosen to publish this game, and that is a really smart idea. This is the first PlayStation 4 exclusive title that I even care about, even remotely, and when it comes to game consoles, it's all about the exclusives. Now, I haven't played this game, so I can naturally only go off how it looks, and how it looks is amazing. This is the first, in my opinion, game that has come out on the PS4, which you look at it and straight away you're right. This game couldn't come out on the PS3. This is not a port, this is not a PS3 game, but we redid the textures a bit to, make it look a little bit shinier. This is a PS4 exclusive title. This is what it's all about. There's something else about this game which I heard in a developer interview which really got my attention, and that is, now I'm not going to hate on it, so hear me out first, but it's the fact that it's a single player focused experience, and they've justified that. They've explained themselves. They don't want to give a mediocre single player experience so then the rest of the resources can go on multiplayer, which may or may not be well received. They're focusing everything on the single player, and that we don't get enough of these days. I'm all up for multiplayer, don't get me wrong. I love going online, I like playing certain online games. I was playing Mario Kart 8 just before. Me and my buddy were playing online against people all around the world. Crazy fun, mind you. Anyway, that's fine, but I do like it when they focus on the single player experience depending on the game. And also keep in mind that yes, they're focusing on the single player, so then it can be more solid, so it can be more story driven, so there is more polish, so you can fit more on the game disc itself as well. But also keep in mind that we do live in an age of the internet and DLCs. Say the Order 1886 comes out and it is a successful third-person shooting game, right? Who says a multiplayer DLC or some sort of expansion cannot be released? It can. It is done, So for right now, let's focus on the game itself, and then we can worry about multiplayer. This game is scheduled for a February 20th, 2015 release, so we have a little bit of a way to go. But as I've been doing this whole talking, you've been seeing the pictures, should be here. They look amazing. This game is worth the wait. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know I'm also a big Nintendo fan as well. So I'm used to waiting. I'm used to waiting. You want a good Zelda game? You need to wait a long time. You need a good 3D Mario game? You need to wait a long time. But you know what? It's always worth the wait. It's always right up there. And attention to detail is another fact that I wanted to bring up. I'll include a link below. Now there's a video, shows a guy, he's hiding behind a pillar and he's having a gunfight, they're having a shootout. Now the others are on top of some roofs, they're covering themselves, and he has a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher or some other weapon. Either way, you shoot it, it goes, it explodes, you get sparks everywhere. The little bit of detail which I really liked was the fact that when it went and blew up, the sparks wouldn't go through objects. It wouldn't just be a preset animation. The sparks would hit against the walls, would bounce off the walls, would stop at the ground. I know this sounds very minute, but attention to detail is what gets you more personally involved in the game. And another very minute detail is originally this game was going to run at 60 frames per second. Not anymore, it's now 30 frames per second. The whole thing which has drawn attention to this is apparently during development the plan was it would be a 60 frames per second game, and then once the PS4 hardware was released, apparently there was too many limitations that made the developers turn around and said, no, we can't do this. We can run at 30 frames per second. The PS4 hardware is not good enough for 60 frames per second. Now, this isn't a shot at the system. The PS4 is a lot stronger than what the PS3 was, and so forth and so forth. It's like a modern day gaming PC. Mid-range. They're powerful enough that they're not going to look so bad for the first time ever, I'm seeing PC textures and bump mapping and so forth, which I'd previously only see while playing a game on max settings on my computer, at least medium settings. I'm now finally seeing it on the gaming console. If you recall playing on the PS3, you get muddy textures, you get some nice lighting, you get a little bit of bump map, you get too close to a texture and it's like, yeah, you know, paint, you know, horrible. But yeah, the PS4, you get this nice fine texture. I was playing that Thieves game, Thieves 4 I believe it is, and that looked amazing. Go right up to a wall, I'd have a look, the detail was there. I loved that. That being said though, gaming consoles still cannot hold a par to PC gaming rigs. So unfortunately, you know, during the PS3 era and 360 and Wii, you know, developers were promised a mega super next game console that would be able to fulfill the desire which the game developers have craved. So before the PS4 was announced, all these companies, they're making these big monster games, you know, they're envisioning this, they're envisioning that, they're going up. And then it's announced and they're like, okay, it's stronger than the previous console, but it's nowhere near what you said you'd give us, and so they had to cut back. You know, similar controversy to what happened with Watch Dogs. As we know, the end result of what was shipped, the finished product, compared to what was showcased, was significantly different. And one thing which has been pointed out online, which makes a lot of sense, is Watch Dogs is also another game which they started development before the hardware specs for the PS4 was actually announced. So they were promised something, you know, they put their E3 demo, they're like, okay, yes, their E3 demo ran off borderline supercomputers with, I think they had the Titan graphic cards in there, more than one, whole bunch of RAM, beast, right? But still, you know, the PS4 console did fall short, which is a shame. However, one thing which is really good about this generation of console is it is no longer non-HD versus HD. For example, when you compared a game on the original Wii and you compared it to the PS3, there was a big difference, okay? Because one supported a whole bunch of features and the other didn't, you know? They just couldn't compete. You could get pretty games, but it wasn't that next gen which the PS3 brought. Now PS3 to PS4, the difference isn't so big. We're talking better textures, yeah, some better lighting effects, some extra filters. The average person wouldn't really even be able to tell the difference that much. And that's why I'm not too concerned that the PS4 isn't as powerful as we'll promise. You know, they were meant to match up to our gaming rigs and all that. That's fine, because yes, you know what, sorry, I've gone off topic here, started talking about tech, and once I start thinking of those, my nerdy side takes over. Back to the Order 1886. I'll be keeping my eye on this game. You've been watching Gamers Treehouse. Thanks for watching.